Hi everyone, it's Joanne here with a watercolour tutorial. And I've had such a busy month with my Patreon channel. We've been painting so many bluebells and I've been showing so many different techniques as well on how to paint that type of subject because, as you know, I love to paint a floral. So at the moment, the woods near my house is just absolutely gloriously full of bluebells. But this year I've noticed that they're slightly pink. And that's a great excuse for me because I love purples and pinks, as you can tell. So any excuse to use that colour is just perfect for me. And I've used the opera pink, and again, any excuse to use the opera pink is just perfect. So they do have a kind of pinky blue tinge to them. I'm going to be sharing lots and lots of techniques with you along the way, and it is quite an in-depth tutorial. So don't be overwhelmed, just choose little bits of that you might find you want to practice rather than taking on the whole thing. Now, I don't post here very often, once a month maybe, because I am so busy with my Patreon channel, which I absolutely love, by the way. And I produce 2 tutorials per month for my patrons. So I don't post my free content very often, but if you don't want to miss what I do post, then please subscribe. That would just be perfect for me. Or if you want to take your art to the next level, then of course you can check out my Patreon channel or my single purchase tutorials, and you will find all that on my website at artbyboon.co.uk. So are you ready to paint some lovely bluey pinky bluebells with me? Go grab your brushes and let's paint. So before we get started, let's go through the materials I'm going to be using today. I've got a piece of Saunders Waterford and I've cut it into a nice long length like this. I've always got kitchen roll handy, jug of clean water, 2 brushes. I've got a size 4 and a size 8 brush, and they're both round. I've got a bit of wax as well. Now you can use one of these wax crayons, or you could use a piece of candle wax, it doesn't matter. And you don't even have to use that if you don't want to, but I like to add a bit of wax to mine, so I'm going to be doing that. Colour-wise, I'm going for an opera pink, a cobalt blue, a quinacridone gold, and a cobalt turquoise. Again, you can change these colours. You can go for ultramarine blue, you can go for crimsons, you can go for a cadmium yellow. It doesn't matter. You can go for a cerulean blue. Just, change them around if you feel that you need to, or you want to even, or even if you haven't got those colours. And just off camera, a nice big cup of coffee. So before I put any paint down, I'm going to put some wax resist onto mine, and I'd like the light to be coming from this top half here. So I'm just going to run in some little lights here onto the drawing itself. And sorry, I didn't actually mention the drawing, did I? But it's very basic. I've got 3 tree shapes here. Some squiggly lines, just as a guideline really, just to let me know where I'm going to be putting the lovely bluebells at the back here. And then I've drawn in 3 or 4 different shapes here that represent those bluebells. I'll put some little dots up here as well, just to kind of catch the light. That would be nice. Maybe some swirly bits. Swirly bits are always good. There we go. Not too much, just a few little dots and dashes, just to highlight those areas. Okay, so let's start with our first wash. So I'm going to use my large brush, and I like to put in my fresh colours first. So I'm going to be putting in these areas here, which are the distant flowers. So I'm going to wet that area with a clean brush. Give it a wet. There we go. Nice and wet. I'm going to take a little bit of the opera pink, and I'm just going to randomly drop that in. Oh, you can make them high, you can bring them low. There's no rule here, of course. You can add as many or as little as you like. I like to add a lot, more than I think I need, because when I come in with the negative painting, I'm going to lose some of them. So I think it's always a good idea to put more in than you think you need. Just dropping that cobalt blue there I've mixed into that pink. Just allowing those colours to mix on the paper. Let's take a little bit more of that blue. I can also kind of tap as well. I can tap my brush into that area just to give it a little bit more spontaneity. There we go. Oh, I think I might just do that with the pinks as well. I often say to my patrons that painting should be fun, and these are the bits that I love doing. A bit of splattering and spraying. I usually spray a lot as well. We're not going to do that today, but we're definitely splattering. There we go. Just a nice colour there. And I'm going to just pull that down, kind of connect it to these shapes here. Now, I want you to be brave, because while it's still wet, I'm going to take that quinacridone gold. And I'm going to just allow that to mix into that wash. I can pull it down, I can add lots of water. We'll come back to this bottom half later. But for now, I'm just putting in these lovely soft washes, allowing them to run down the paper, and I'm avoiding this area here, as you can see. Let's come up here and put some here as well. I am leaving little gaps because I do want to add those lovely bluebell shapes later on, so just leaving a few gaps there. Maybe some little bits of that just popping in and out of those colours as well. I can tap clean water onto that as well, just breaking it up a little bit. And while I've got that colour on my palette, that quinacridone gold, I'm just going to establish, there's a tree, look, and we'll have another one here, and we'll have a larger one somewhere around here. So that's where I'm going to put the 3 trees. I might add some more, but let's see how the picture goes. It's still wet. I'm going to take that quinacridone gold, and I'm going to splatter some bits across. Just tapping with my brush, and splattering that colour. Let's take some turquoise into that as well. It's one of my absolute favourite colours is the turquoise. And it does give you a lovely green with that quinacridone gold. I'm trying to avoid this area if I can. But I'll go back to what I said before, there's always going to be casualties. Wet brush, let's just swizzle those around. That's a lovely technical term, isn't it? Swizzle. And there we go. So, I need now to be very, very patient and let this one completely dry. So once you're nice and dry, we can start to put in a few little details now. And let's start at the top here. I'm going to leave this bit till last because I really want us to have a play in that area. Here we need to be a little bit more disciplined. And I go on about it all the time, negative painting, but I can't stress how much it is important in watercolour paint, or in any painting, not just watercolour painting. So it really is a topic that's worth exploring and spending more time practicing if you feel that your watercolours are lacking. So I've gone down to my small brush as well because I want a bit of detail here. Now, I put some wax in there earlier. There's nothing stopping you going back in and adding more if you feel you need it, so you can do that. But what we're going to do here is we're going to suggest the tree, we're going to suggest the foliage, and we're going to suggest the flowers. So 3 things just by using negative painting. So let's take our quinacridone gold again, and I'm going to just take a little bit of the cobalt blue into that, mix a darker green, and let's explore here. So let's put in, I'm going to put a bit more blue into that, make it quite dark. Let's put in some nice, lovely light shapes, or dark shapes, against these light ones here, which are of course our lovely flower shapes. We can come in and out and make a bit of shape there. I can put in quite a dark value as well if I want to. There we go. And as I come up, I'm painting against the tree shape here. But I'm also taking that foliage across like that. It'll become clear in a minute because it's a bit difficult to see at the moment, but there's this shape, there's that shape, and here's that one. Let's imagine that we've got a little branch there coming off, and I'll put some of that green just directly underneath that and just pull it down and soften. And now we've created a kind of flow, haven't we? A lovely wash that suggests the flowing foliage across the trees. Let's do some more. Let's take that green again and let's find another shape. So this is a nice one. We'll come in underneath this one. There we go. Cleaning my brush and just softening away. There we go. I can come in quite dark against these areas here. So I'm putting in that stronger value, and that is going to create those lovely shapes of the flowers. There we go. Let's come underneath that, look, and create more foliage down the side of that tree. I'll just soften that a little bit as well. I can come in with that darker wash here, and then I make another tree. So you can see what I mean. It is a lovely way of painting, and it's a great exercise for you to practice. I'm just working my way along now, just creating these lovely darks against lights. Plenty of water, just pulling that out. And there we go, we've created 3 trees, or the bases of trees, haven't we? We can carry that on. We can carry on with our quinacridone gold and our blue. And let's find another shape. So let's find this shape again. So here's the tree. And okay, let's put a dark against that section where the trunk goes up. And let's put a dark underneath that foliage. And then we see the tree again. So it's like magic, isn't it? I love negative painting, and it's something that I spend a lot of time on my tutorials covering, because I do feel it is so important. Let's find a shape here. Let's find that tree shape again here. Let's clean the brush. I'm just pulling away just to create a lovely illusion. Let's find it again up here, look. Oh, I lost that a little bit. I made it a bit too small. That's a casualty. We can come back to that. And I'll keep working my way across. There's another one here. I'm going to come up and just tidy that little bit up as well. Let's find this shape again. So let's have this foliage shape coming across like that. So I can find that shape. I can find that shape. I can clean my brush and just pull that away. So again, we're hinting at that tree shape. Now, I'd like to come back to that later on and perhaps add some more trees. But for now, I'm going to move away, because I do find as well that when I get bogged down in an area and I spend too much time on it, that's when I start to overwork it. So at the moment, it's looking nice and fresh, and that's what I like about it. So let's be good and not fiddle about in that area. Okay, I'm going to change brushes again now, and I am going to put this section in here. We will be doing some work here, but let's get that fresh colour in now. So let's take our pink. My water's just clean enough to handle this, so I'll just pop in some pinks here, and you can see that I am definitely not keeping within the lines. bit of that cobalt blue in there as well. I'll just allow that to run just into those little shapes. Add lots of water and pull that wash down as well. We're going to be negatively painting in this area, so it doesn't matter if you go out of the lines. In fact, I'm encouraging you to do that, really. Go out of those lines. There we go. It'll all become clear. Just cleaning my brush a little bit there. It's got a bit clogged. There we go. And while that's still wet, let's take our quinacridone again. And I'm going to introduce that bit of blue into it as well, so we've got more of a green. I'm just going to pull some of those greens and through that shape, letting them blend in. Again, there's going to be casualties. You're not going to get all of those shapes. You're going to end up painting over some of them, but that's okay. As long as you've got a few left at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Now I added the turquoise up here, so I'm going to introduce that down here as well. I'm going to put a few little taps of that turquoise into that area. Maybe some nice shapes like that, just to suggest some lovely stalks. And sometimes these bluebells do have these lovely little shapes that come off them, like little tendrils, so we can put some of those in as well. There we go. And again, I'm overworking now. I'm fiddling too much, so I'm going to put my brush down because I really want us to concentrate now on building up the final details. And I know it looks messy, I know, but hopefully by the end of it we'll pull it all together and you're going to have a wonderful bluebell wood. So I was patient and I let this one dry, and just a couple of details up here now. I think I'd like to just put in some distant trees, so I'm just going to take that little bit of the cobalt blue though. It's mixing in with the green a little bit, but that's okay as long as it's a cool blue. And let's have another tree shape here, so maybe some branches off that. Oh, would be quite nice as one. Should we find another one? I'm just finding little spots to put them in, really. Let's have one there, look. Let's have one here. And here. You can have as many as you like. I can put one there, look. And it is just, it's a simple little thing I've done there, really. But it is just giving it that extra bit of depth, isn't it? Just to take you through the picture, just to those distant trees. And while I've got that mixture on my brush, I can do a bit of tidying as well. So here, for instance, I'll just tidy up that little tree shape there, look. But again, I'm going back to what I said. I don't want to fiddle with this. So let's concentrate on this area now. And this is the bit that's, you know, we've gone a bit wild here, but we really do have to think about our negative painting at this point. So let me, oh, I've changed my water, by the way. Let me clean this palette a little bit. Give that a nice clean. There we go. That's as good as it's going to get, isn't it? Okay. And now you can choose whichever colours you like. I'm just looking for my opera pink. It seems to disappear because I've run out of that, so I'm just going to replenish that in the palette. Because I'd like to use purples and the pinks to do the negative painting. So we've got a lot of blues going on in this picture. You could, of course, use darker greens. In fact, let's see how we go. We might use both, but let's just take our cobalt blue. And let's take our pink, and I'm making quite a dark mixture now because I want us to paint around some shapes. So here, for instance, let's paint around that shape, and let's paint around that shape. So I'll just soften that away. It's very much like I did with the trees at the top. I'm just putting in a lovely dark colour just to show off a nice light. So here I can come in again with that blue, and I can connect it as well. I can push it up into this area so it connects. I've lost one a little bit there. I did say there will be casualties. There's always casualties. Okay, let's put a shape in like that. Let's bring that shape back a bit. There we go. Now, I'm mindful that I don't want to do this all over. So I'm just going to pick certain areas where I think it's going to look nice. So, okay, let's come in here. And some of my bluebells are going to be green, aren't they? Because this area here is not exactly blue. It's got greens in it as well. Let's bring the shape up here like that. Pulling that out. And there we go. So now we've created these lovely, wonderful shapes that look just like bluebells. Let's carry that wash on. Let's bring that down, that nice thick dark colour. And let's weave it through. So let's put a stem here and pull that wash around. Then we'll find another stem, pull that wash around. Cleaning my brush, pulling that wash out, teasing it out. So we're just picking up a few of those shapes. It's quite therapeutic as well. You're just thinking about where you're putting those lovely shapes, and you're just concentrating on what you're doing. It's just a lovely exercise just to take you away from the stresses of life. Okay, let's pull in another shape here, look. So you can see that I'm not exactly being too careful here. In fact, there's little bits that I'm not that keen on, which I may come back to. But for now, let's keep going. I think we've all of us have parts of our picture that we're not entirely happy with. There we go. And I'll keep coming back as well. I keep pulling myself back and looking at how, how is it looking? If my head is over it like this, I'm not really seeing the bigger picture. So remember just to take a step back and just to assess, whereabouts you are with your picture. I'm just going to lift a little bit of that colour here, just by dabbing that with a bit of tissue. I just felt it was a little bit too strong. There we go. That lovely mixture again, that lovely pink and blue. Where can we go now? Okay, let's find a shape. Oh, there's a nice one, look. Bit more pink into that, why not? There we go. Just keep pulling that wash out. Side of the brush to soften away. So I'm just catching the edges. And you can see now it's starting to take shape, isn't it? I mean, I could at this point, put some more of those lovely tendril shapes in just to give it a bit more movement and connect it to that top half as well. A little bit more of that negative painting, and then I'm going to come in with some greens at the bottom. And I know it's messy, I know it's not perfect, but we're not looking to paint a botanical study really, are we? We're looking for a nice loose interpretation. There we go. There's another little shape there, look. So even though it's not blue, I've still made it into a bluebell. While that's still wet, we can put in those darks, so I can come in with a bit of the cobalt blue, a little bit of the yellow, make this quite dark. I could put a bit of turquoise in there as well. And I'm just going to pick out a few stem shapes now. So if I draw little lines like that, and then I soften them away, I get that illusion, don't I, of stem shapes. And of course, we put a little bit of wax in there earlier as well, and that's helping because some of those lovely little waxy marks are now beginning to show. I'm very close to putting my brush down. It's very difficult, isn't it, to know when to stop. It's probably one of the hardest things. I struggle with it. It's just like everyone else. Oh, go on then. We'll just put a little bit more purpley colour into that. And we'll pull it down. Just looking for little areas now where I can just add a little bit more detail. But yeah, I'm going to put my brush down. That was fun. I hope you've enjoyed that. If you're finding that a little bit too much, because there's a lot to take in, especially if you're new to watercolour, practice little areas. Look at, for instance, just that little section. That little section, I'll show it to camera. Just that little section here, where you've got that lovely tree shape, you've got the beautiful foliage and the lovely blue, blue flowers here. So that's a nice section you can practice. Or you could practice this area here. And if you want to take your art to the next level, then of course you can join me on my Patreon channel, and you'll find all that on my website at artbyboon.co.uk. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.